What's up, YouTube? This is Josh coming at you. Just sitting here on Father's Day morning doing a little reflecting about my dad, my stepdad, some memories I have of those guys. Stay tuned.
Skull, 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 skull.
So when I think of video game and pop culture memories that I have with my dad or my stepdad, I think Atari, Nintendo, Batman, and G.I. Joe. Now when it comes to the video game side of it, neither one of my dads were gamers. Very rarely, I never saw my stepdad pick a game up ever, and very rarely would my dad pick one up and play it. They were working men, outdoor men. That's what they liked to do, was that kind of stuff. They weren't interested in the video games, but they knew that I was, and they knew that I liked them. I remember the Atari system. When we first got the Atari, I was only a little guy, maybe 5-6 years old, and my dad brought it home and he hooked it up, and we had one game for it, and I remember playing that game to death. Played it with 2 players, with my sister, with my dad, with my aunt, whoever was around the house, my mom. But mostly I remember playing that game with my dad, and it was a really cool memory because when he first brought it home, I had never seen a video game before. He hooked this thing up, we put this game in, and we played 2 players, and it was Frogs and Flies. Frogs and Flies, you had 2 little lily pads and 2 little frogs, and you could jump back and forth with the frogs, and these flies would fly across the screen, and you tried to jump up and flick your tongue out and catch the flies, and you'd get points for it. And I just remember laughing so hysterically with my dad whenever one of us would miss our jump and we'd miss the lily pad and we'd fall into the thing, and it would, the big splash would happen. It was the best part of the game, and I have fond memories of that. Thanks for that memory, Dad. Now, when it comes to the Nintendo, one of the most highly nostalgic systems for me. It's what I grew up on, more or less. Love that system. I remember seeing the Nintendo for the first time. I went to a friend's house. He had it. Before that, I'd only ever seen Atari. So it was like when you saw the graphics of Super Mario Brothers and the sound and just the music and all, it just kind of blew your mind, you know what I mean? So I wanted that system really bad, but we really didn't have a lot of money. I knew my mom and dad couldn't afford the couple $100s at that time. This was in the late 80s to buy that for me. It was my mom and my stepdad, because like many other kids, by that point my parents had divorced. And when I opened that up on Christmas morning and I saw that the Nintendo that was there, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. I didn't know then, but I know now how much they must have had to save to buy that system for me. And it means so much that they thought that I wanted that so bad that they thought enough of me to save up the money. Probably took them months to save it up to get that for me for Christmas. So that's my memory about the Nintendo with my stepdad and my mom. Thanks, you guys. When we're talking about Batman, though, for my pop culture memory, I was probably 11 or 12 years old, I think, when the original Batman movie came out, and I remember getting to go to the movie theater with my dad. We went to a number of movies over the course of that summer. I was spending that summer with my dad, and he worked a lot, so he didn't get a whole lot of time, even though I was living with him, to be with me, because he was working 2 jobs, and he would work on the weekends even when he could. So when he got some spare time, we went and we saw quite a few movies, and I really cherished the memories of being able to go see those movies. But the one movie that I remember the most out of all that was Batman, with Michael Keaton as Batman and Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Fantastic movie, still holds up to today, and I love getting to go see that movie with him, even though I think my dad might have fell asleep a couple of times during that movie. He was working quite a bit. But thanks, Dad. And finally, the last thing I'm nostalgic for with the memories from my dad and my stepdad was for G.I. Joe. Now, when I was a kid, I collected a ton of the G.I. Joes. I remember going out in a snowstorm and shoveling snow all day long to try to save up money for a G.I. Joe tank. Now, my dad, I asked him if I could go with him because he would do that. He'd get that hustle going on, try to make a little bit of extra cash. And I was only a little kid then, maybe 11 or 12 in that age range. And that I wasn't really contributing a lot. I tried as hard as I could to shovel. I tried to keep up with them all day long, but we cleared a bunch of driveways. I don't know what kind of money my dad made, but we did a lot of work that day. And I remember he paid me because he told me what he was going to pay me per hour. He paid me that at the end of the day. I think it ended up being like $20 or something that he gave me. And I begged him. I said, before we went home, I was like, please, let's go to the toy store. I want to buy this G.I. Joe tank. And we got there, and I think the tank might have been like $30 or something. And I was like, I only had 20. And I was like, I really wanted that tank, but I didn't earn enough money to buy that tank. So I remember my dad telling me, he said, son, I know we agreed upon this much money, and that's what I paid you. He said, but you worked really hard today, and I just want to show you, thank you for working so hard with me today. And he bought me the tank. He ponied up the extra money, and I cherished that thing all the way up until I got rid of my G.I. Joe collection. Now, like I said before, we didn't have a lot of money, but I remember some great Christmases, and another great memory I have about the G.I. Joes was another Christmas. Like I said before, I couldn't afford to buy the vehicles so much because they would be $25 to $40 or more, depending on how big the vehicles were. So I had a lot of figures, but I most of the time would rely on birthdays or Christmas in order to get the vehicles for them. So I remember a Christmas that I got the double whammy. It was fantastic. My mom, my stepdad, they bought me the Sky Striker G.I. Joe jet, the big jet fighter, and I was so jacked that I got that. I didn't even want to open up any other presents after that point, but I still had a few more to go. And when I opened up one, I found I had the Tomahawk helicopter too. It was ridiculous. My stepdad, I could tell he was so excited that he was able to give that to me for Christmas. He normally didn't mess around with the toys or nothing that too much, but it had some assembly required, so he was getting them out of the box for me, and he helped me put them together. Was so excited to get those. Love the G.I. Joes, and love the memories. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Happy Father's Day, everyone.
I have a memory of...
Come on. I see enthusiasm.
I have a memory! I have a memory when me and Dad went to Dollywood Water Park with everybody, and me and Dad just went on this giant raft ride together. And it was just me and Dad.
When Dad used to pick me up from daycare, we would always go get some ice cream from Ben and Scooters.
Lucky.
Well, that was when I was younger. That was before you two were even born.
I was really little too.
Yeah.
I wasn't even born.
And I remember one day, you all were gone, and me and Dad had nothing to do, so we went and seen Diary of the Kids. In theaters.
Lucky!
You know. Tell me.
I already said this many times. When you guys put me in a high chair when I was really little before Cooper was born, I watched you all play the Wii on the big pad where you step on it.
That was that adventure game, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Mm-hmm.
And
it should be over on the shelf somewhere.
You and TJ used to always,
Go head to head.
I forget what it was even called.
All I know is we had the log race and everything like that. There was log races, bowling, of course. The outdoor challenge.
Active Life Outdoor Challenge.
Yeah.
I've never played this.
I actually just
yeah.
found the pad not that long ago. We'll have to hook it up and play.
And I'm just the one that just returned this not that long ago, the long lost game. But this is always fun playing.
Another memory is me, Dad, and Izzy played a game on the Xbox.
Yep. Fusion Frenzy.
Yeah, Fusion Frenzy, and you're all passing the bombs to each other and trying not to get blown off.
And running away from each other.
Yeah.
I guess that's it then.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day.
Happy
Dad.
Father's Day!
I'm glad that my dad took the time when he really didn't even have it, to take me out to see movies and do stuff like that with me. I miss these guys. They're both gone now. Been 15 years since my stepdad's been gone, and it's been almost 5 years now since my dad has been gone. Miss them every day. Wish they were still around. But now I have to make Father's Day memories and stuff with my own kids, so it's my turn to do that.